I'm very happy with the reptile collection I have. Some would say it's impressive, but what would I buy if I had an unlimited budget? Today, let's talk about the top 5 bucket list dream reptiles I can't afford, and neither can you. My name's Adam, this is Diamond, you're watching Wiccan's Wicked Reptiles. Stick around. Truthfully, I'm very happy with my collection. I've got so many things that I just can't even believe that I have. But there are still some reptiles on the list that I would love to have, and just truthfully, it doesn't make sense to buy an animal that expensive for me. So today, let's talk about those expensive reptiles. And I want to say thanks to my friends at Morph Market who did sponsor today's episode, but will be helping me with the list. So I'm not going to go from order from most expensive to least or anything like that. I'm just going to go for the ones that, I think I really want. Starting with number 5, Bell's Phase lace monitors. Lace monitors are the second biggest lizard in all of Australia. Some people call them tree goannas, or there's a bunch of different names for them. But either way, these animals have been known about in Australia for a long time. These things are abundant. Not as much now as they used to be, but we used to bring them over to North America and Europe quite regularly. Of course, Australia no longer exports their animals like that. However, they're not the easiest thing to breed in captivity, and they are a little bit more rare. So I said there's a lot here. I mean a lot, enough that they're not $100,000 each. They're closer to $6,000 or $7,000 if you want an adult. Now these animals are big. We're talking 6 or 7 feet sometimes. I mean, they come smaller, of course. Some people have said up to 8 feet. But either way, they have a really big tail, they have a big head, and the Bell's Phase is the one that I like. Now this is from a different part of Australia, and this is just an animal that looks like almost piebald, sort of, but it's called Bell's Phase, and it's a natural mutation. So it's a natural coloration, I guess to say. It's not really a morph that you have to selectively breed for. I'm trying to say you can find these in the wild, and they'll look just like this. Now this is an animal that is the most closely related lizard to the Komodo dragon. They've done studies with DNA. This is the closest thing you can get. I know I thought it was gonna be a croc monitor too, but turns out it's a lace monitor. And these animals will eat basically everything that they can stick down their throat. I'm not saying to do this if you have one. This is not a care guide by any means, but this is a carnivorous animal that's gonna eat basically everything in its range that it can eat. And in captivity, you'll feed it mostly, well, chicken parts and rodents and quails and stuff like that. And this is an animal that is rather large and can be in the trees too. So you're gonna need a really big enclosure. I just don't have, 12 grand for one animal plus an enclosure. It's just not something that makes sense for me right now. But in the comment section, would you keep a Bell's Phase lace monitor? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Number 4, Boelen's python. Now I did a video a few weeks ago talking about how if I had $10,000, what animals would I buy for a perfect collection? Video's right here if you want to watch it. And everyone said the same thing. Bro, forget your $10,000 collection. Just give me a Boelen's python. But you can't, because Boelen's pythons are around $12,000, okay? Well, Boelen's pythons are freaking expensive, but these are some of the coolest pythons in the entire world. Now, these animals are from the highlands, the mountain areas of Papua New Guinea. So New Guinea is one of the coolest places on Earth. Very little of it has been explored, and in terms of animals that are there or might not be there, it's so difficult to find these Boelen's pythons. We don't even know, truly don't know. Are they endangered or vulnerable? What are they? They're just so reclusive, so difficult to find. And even though this is an animal that is in captivity, mostly seen in perches and trees, in the wild, they're often found in the forest floor. So who knows what's going on with them, but we do know that they'll eat rodents and mammals and things like that in captivity. They eat pretty regularly. Now, there's only one source that I could find Boelen's pythons from on Morph Market, and that's Nerd, New England Reptile Distributors. I mean, this makes sense. That's what Kevin does, is makes the coolest animals on the planet. But the reason that there's only a handful of animals that are for sale right now is because they're really difficult to breed in captivity. These animals are really difficult to breed in captivity. I only know of a handful of people who have ever done it. This is an animal that would make an amazing display. This is an animal that you'd want to put in something that's, 6 foot high by 8 foot long. Like, these are big animals, right? These are pythons that can grow 10 foot around that area. So an animal like that is so iridescent, right? Because it's black with like the white mouth type look, but it also in the sun, the iridescence. I've never seen iridescence anything like this. Absolutely amazing coloration. So it's like an oil slick that slithers around in the trees. Now, before we move on to number 3, I want to say thanks to Morph Market for sponsoring today's episode. This is the place that I buy and sell Animals. This is the largest online retailer of animals anywhere in the world. Aquatics, plants, they've got auctions now. I love this new feature where instead of just, there's the price, there's literally auctions for these animals, and the way that they do them is absolutely amazing. I've bought stuff on eBay before. This is a much better system. So if you're in the US, Canada, Mexico, Europe, South Africa, and there's more countries coming, this is the place for you. The aquatic section just went live, and the plant section went live just before the beginning of this year. I'm a plant nerd. I love plants. This is a really cool option that wasn't available before. This platform is just getting better and better by the day. And giveaways all the time. We're talking over $10,000 worth of giveaways to their social media followers in 2023. I can't say enough good things about Morph Market. Thanks so much for sponsoring today's episode. And if you're looking to buy reptiles from me, you know where to find me. Number 3, Aldabra tortoises. Aldabra tortoises are one of the biggest tortoises in the world. This is an animal that we're lucky to even be around. And when I say giant tortoise, I don't mean, it's kind of big. I mean this thing 550 pounds sometimes. These things, you can have an eye-to-eye conversation if you're a short dude like me with these guys because they can stick their necks up like freaking giraffes. The prices are going down for babies, but if you wanted something that is an adult, because they take a long time to get to sexual maturity. So if you wanted a breeding project now, these things are $55,000 for a pair. You can now get them as babies for under $2,000. I don't really know enough about them to know why it's gone down this much this quickly, but Aldabra tortoises, the reason I would want one, they're huge. They're personable. They're going to be herbivores, so you can have them outside. I don't know anyone who'd want to keep an Aldabra inside, like their house, maybe in like a shed or a barn or something. But you need, UVB temperature, hot temperatures. They like it rather dry. They get most of their water from their food rather than from a standing water drinking source. Now, there used to be giant land tortoises on every continent in the world, except for Antarctica and Australia. So it's not like these things used to be rare. It's just now there's not really many places that have these giant, massive land tortoises. Just not really a thing anymore. But they're smart, they're affectionate, you can keep them in groups if you have like tons and tons of money, and just overall it's gonna be something that your friends don't have. I mean, everybody and their mother has a sulcata tortoise, it seems like, but if you go to your friend's house and he's got a giant Aldabra out back that's way bigger than a sulcata with its neck in the air, it looks like a dinosaur in a turtle shell. That's what it looks like. Number 2. Amazon Basin Emerald Tree Boas. This is a harder one to find a price on because there are none for sale on Morph Market right now, which is just a testament to how rare they are. Now, Emerald Tree Boas in general, there's always some available. They're pretty amazing, and they do look a lot like a green tree python, even though it's Convergent Evolution, they're not really related at all. But these animals are from the New World, right? They're from parts of the Amazon, of course. And Emerald Tree Boas that are not the Amazon basins, they're known for being rather cantankerous. Amazon Basin Emerald Tree Boas, a few things sets them apart. First of all, they're bigger, 7 to 9 feet. This is a huge Emerald Tree Boa. Second of all, they're gonna have the same huge teeth, of course, but they're a little bit easier to tame out, from what I understand, watching videos from Nerd and things like that. But thirdly, the white saddles on their back are vibrant. They look amazing. Looks totally different than their counterparts not from that same region. Now, a big green snake that's gonna curl up just like you'd think, gives live birth, and maybe could be handleable if you really did the work. This is the cat's pajamas, one of the coolest animals on the planet. I would love to have one, and honestly, if I had around $15,000 of all the animals on the list, this is probably the one that I would get. Now, it's hard to see what the price is because I would want a captive bred. All these animals, I'd rather have captive bred than imported, unless it's an imported animal. It's been around for, 12 or 10 or 15 years or whatever. But either way, you want something that's captive bred, and those are more expensive, and there's none on Morph Market. And then I have seen reports of them for, $3,000, but what are these? They're not from a source that I really know. So I'm sticking with my price where I see them between $10,000 and $15,000. That's what they used to be on Morph Market when I was last doing a video about Emerald Tree Boas. So I think that these are kind of out of my range for something that I'd be willing to spend $15,000 on. Plus, then you need a big enclosure. A 9-foot arboreal snake, I mean, you're gonna need a big enclosure for that too. So that's my favorite on the list, but number 1, and the reason I'm putting it here is because it's the most attainable and the price is going to plummet in the next 2 years, leucistic western hognose snakes. I don't like to get into the weeds with morphs because then you get into ball pythons and it's like a bongo, bingo, bango, Bob's your uncle, Fran's your aunt type morph with like a million genes in it. It's like, I don't care. It's not impressive to me. That's not my thing. If that's your thing, then you go to Morph Market and there's tons for you to choose from. The reason I'm saying leucistic Western hognose is because, first of all, it has a really cool story. I should do a video about conspiracy theories and reptiles because this is a wild story. Let me know in the comment section if you want to hear all about it. Either way, these animals used to be, 10 grand plus. There was basically one of them that was brought from the wild. It was this whole story. And now you see more people have them, and the price now is around $4,000, something like that. So it's plummeted over half in 2 years. And then now we're going to produce these again, because usually a female 2.5, 3 years old is ready to produce. So you're seeing people that got babies 2 years ago and they're going to be able to start to produce them. So the market's going to have way more stock available. And I think that the price is really going to go down on these leucistics. Maybe not sub $1,000. So I'm going to wait to buy one. I will buy one, but just not today. And the reason that's so special to me, my logo is a hognose snake. The first snake I ever got was a hognose snake. I have a special place in my heart for hognose snakes, and leucistic animals are my favorite. So a white hognose snake, which used to be the holy grail of hognose snakes, and now it seems like everybody and their brother has one. So where are you going? So not today, maybe tomorrow. I want to know in the comment section your 5 bucket list animals that you would get if you had the money. And by the way, this is no shame saying that you can't afford or I can't afford. I mean, just some people don't want to spend 15 grand on an animal. Some people don't want to spend $100 on an animal. It's all subjective. So let me know in the comment section. Please do hit like and subscribe while you're down there. Really appreciate it. And as always, thanks to the Patreon supporters. You guys get videos early, discounts on merch, one-on-ones, all that and more for as little as $1 a month. I do videos on Mondays and Thursdays, so I'll see you in the next one.